Hey, it's Ted McGrath. Welcome to tonight's show. So why is Bitcoin and the market so volatile? What does this have to do with the Bank of Japan? And what does this mean for the future? So definitely sitting through some volatile times. Let's look at why that's actually happening and what this whole scene with Japan hiking interest rates has to do with the global economy and why it could cause Bitcoin to go potentially lower. So not tax advice, not financial advice, not legal advice. Do your own research on this. And let's jump in. Also, if you want my book Money Game, you can snag it down below with my free trading strategy on how I trade on a daily basis. Okay, so let's look at it. Why is Bitcoin falling again? Well, let's take a look. Bitcoin's around 86,000, 85,000 today. It slipped under 90,000 from the other day, was trading around 87,000 and dropped as low as 85,000 today. Short answer, Japan has scared the market. What does that mean? Japan's central bank just dropped big news. You've probably heard all about it. They plan to begin selling $83 trillion, or I should say 83 trillion yen, $543 billion in ETF holdings as soon as next month. So the Bank of Japan will sell slowly at about 330 billion per year to avoid market shocks. Okay, so they plan to start selling 500 billion worth of ETFs. That's money they've been holding for years. They will sell it slowly. They'll do about $2 to $3 billion per year over many decades. But what happens is the markets hear this news and they react instantly and they freak out and the markets start to drop. Bank of Japan is expected to raise their interest rates. If you see over here on the right-hand column, it says December 19th. So we will see an interest rate hike most likely on December 19th. This happened in January 24th of 2025 and also July 31st of 2024. We've been getting news on this over the last year. So markets think there's a 97% chance of a rate hike on December 19th, which is coming up on Friday. A lot of this stuff is being priced in already. As you see, lots of volatility in the market. We'll see if we'll go lower on that day based on the news. This matters because most countries are cutting rates and Japan is actually doing the opposite. So that makes a lot of global investors nervous right now. And here's what happened the last three times Japan raised rates. If you look March, July, and January of 2025, March 2024, Bitcoin fell about 27%. July 2024, Bitcoin fell 30%. January 2025, Bitcoin fell 31%. Now, we know the past does not mean the future. This is just some data and some stats. So when traders hear Bank of Japan rate hike, they panic and they sell early, which is what you see happening in the markets right now. That's why Bitcoin and ETH are dumping today. You see BMNR dumping as well over the last week. All the gains we had after the interest rate hike, or I should say cut by the US and by the Fed, I should say, last week, if you look at all the gains we had on BMNR at that time, we pretty much gave back all the gains. And BMNR dropped all the way down. Bitcoin dropped all the way down. ETH dropped all the way down. So if you were trading it, you could pick up some more shares on the way down. That's what I did. But if you're holding it, you're obviously waiting for it to go back up as well. So on December 19th, Japan's expected to raise their rates. As we said, it says every Japan rate hike. This is from Wrecked Fencer. It says every Japan rate hike has sent BTC down 20%. The next hike is coming next week. So if it repeats, Bitcoin will fall. So some people are thinking below $70,000. We'll see. Maybe it goes down into the $70,000 range. Maybe it stays into the 80. Maybe it's priced in already. I don't know what's going to happen with the price, but I know it's volatile right now. So that sounds tiny, but Japan doesn't just move its own money. So let's talk about what this actually means in terms of global money. Japan owns over 1 trillion US government bonds. So that means when Japan tightens, the dollars get pulled out of the system everywhere. And when you look at this yen carry trade, you've probably heard this before, but what is it in a very, very simple manner? Here's how it's worked. You borrow cheap yen, you then convert it into dollars and you buy stocks, crypto, and everything. So it's pretty simple. Like you're borrowing cheap and then you're converting it into dollars to buy stocks and crypto, and it's easy money. That's why they call it the yen carry trade. And what happens is, when Japan raises rates, borrowing yen is not cheap anymore. So the traders who are borrowing yen to then go invest in stocks and invest in crypto, Since it's not cheap to borrow anymore, they have to unwind their trades, and then they start selling their assets fast. So if you look at the global market, you say people out there in Japan borrowing yen, moving into dollars, moving into stocks, moving into crypto, no longer doing that, unwinding some of their trades, selling off some of their Bitcoin, selling off some of their stocks, and that impacts the global economy. And that's why you see the markets dropping as well. And this is called a carry trade unwind. So on November 30th, Japan warned rate hikes were coming. What happened then? Well, Bitcoin dropped to $83,000. Over $200 billion vanished from crypto as a result of that. We're seeing some of that happen again, and that's why markets are reacting right now. Now, look at Bitcoin's weekly RSI. If you look at the weekly RSI, it's currently at a level last visited during these times. So this is from Joe, and Joe says on October 2018 through February 2019, end of the bear. March of 2020, COVID bottom, and May of 2022 through October 2022, end of the bear. So his statement here is the best time to be bullish is when most are bearish. Okay. So let's see what happens there. Now, if you look at the levels I was just talking about, these were levels that we saw in 2018, March 2020, 2022 bear lows. So we're seeing that right now in terms of the RSI levels. So what happened every single time? Well, after that, the good news is Bitcoin exploded higher, 233%, 70%, and 42%. But Japan isn't the only reason, right, that things are shaky like they are. And if you look at each past crash, had multiple reasons. March 2024, Bitcoin hit an all-time high. Plus, we had Middle East tensions going on then. We had July 2024, Japan carry trade shock and forced selling. And you got January 2025, Trump taking office and the tariff worries. Okay, so each of these past crashes, there were multiple reasons behind them. So you look at that. Markets also don't always crash from one thing. There's lots of uncertainty stacking up right now. Let's face it, we've had so much uncertainty throughout the course of this year and over the last 12 months. And there's just uncertainty in the investor sentiment right now. Plus, after the October 10th crash that we had, where we had 19 billion liquidated from the market, we just haven't recovered from it. And that's what's going on right now. And Japan hiking their interest rates does not help the global economy. So right now, investors are unsure about interest rates. They're unsure about global trade. They're unsure about politics. They're unsure about liquidity. They're unsure about a lot. And that uncertainty causes lots of selling going on in the marketplace. And another big clue is volatility. You know, volatility shows how wild the price moves are right now. And in November, volatility was 63%. If you look at it now, it's around 44%. So low volatility means fewer big moves. So you've been watching Bitcoin go from like 82,000 up to 88,000, 88,000 to 92, up to 95, down to 90. We haven't seen the big moves like we used to see when we got good news. You remember when we had interest rate cuts in the past, and we would see Bitcoin zooming up and Ethereum zooming up and BMNR and MSTR. We're not seeing those big moves anymore. We got lower volatility going on, lots of sideways action happening in the marketplace. So it's harder to break higher quickly, and we're seeing that. We haven't been able to get past 95 with Bitcoin, and now we're all the way down to 85. So December is basically flat, nothing to write home about at all, and that's no bueno. And if you look at the Bitcoin multiplier, here's some good news for the future, and this shows how markets can actually move. It shows how much Bitcoin's price moves for every dollar of new money coming in. So right now that multiplier is close to about 40. That means that $1 billion coming into Bitcoin can move the market by about $40 billion. So the multiplier is powerful. Here's the easy math to take a look at it. So it actually means something here. So $1 billion flows into Bitcoin. The multiplier could be 40. That's 40 billion added to Bitcoin's market value. Now divide that by the number of Bitcoin available in the marketplace, about 15 million. That actually trade, and you get a big price jump fast. So this is why the ETF flows matter so much. You can see flowing into ETFs, you can have billions and billions of dollars like we have flowing into ETFs, and that matters a lot. If you look at retail right now, I mean, the retail marketplace is pretty much dead. Institutions have taken over. So we're relying on inflows into the ETFs. We're relying on institutional buying, and that's how you're getting some of these larger price jumps and larger moves in crypto. But we're not getting any of the big moves right now, but this is for the future, okay? This is why ETFs definitely matter. So hype makes the multiplier even bigger. During calm times, you get a multiplier of about 40. During hype times, you get a multiplier that's gone as high as 80. You got the winds going crazy out here in Los Angeles right now, if you hear that sound. So that means the same money can move the price twice as much. So we're in very calm times right now. So the multiplier when there's Bitcoin buys is not going to be as high, but as soon as things pick up, hopefully in 2026, we can see that we would have a higher multiplier. Okay. Now, Adam backs simple $1 million Bitcoin idea. He says if Wall Street goes 2% into Bitcoin, Bitcoin would go to $1 million. Lots of great hypotheticals. There's lots of great models that people have, lots of great ideas of what the future is going to look like. The future is definitely bright for Bitcoin. It's definitely bright, in my opinion, for Ethereum and BMNR and MSTR. But right now, shaky times, and we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of days. Bitcoin could go lower, and we will see. So Adam Beck explains it. So in the future, I definitely see this as a real thing, like Wall Street going 2% into Bitcoin. I definitely see that we'll have $1 million Bitcoin sometime in the future. I believe that the infrastructure is being laid for the blockchain, and there's many, many institutions moving on to Ethereum and moving on to the blockchain. So the crypto infrastructure is being built. The future is there. We are just not seeing it in the price at all. And we keep getting good news and a little bit of a run, and then we just drop back down. And so for the reasons I stated earlier, it's tougher for us to break through those $90,000, $95,000 levels because of what I just stated in terms of Bitcoin. And we know that the rest of the market typically follows Bitcoin. Okay. So there you have it. When you run that through the multiplier math, you get Bitcoin priced to close to $1 million per coin. And that's if Wall Street goes 2% in on Bitcoin, which one day in the future, we know, or at least I know, that Bitcoin will be at $1 million is my belief, not financial advice, but that's what I believe. So if you look at what institutions are doing this week, these are inflows in terms of the ETFs from earlier in the week. So ETFs were up at 237 million. Of course, we're seeing it change day by day now. Ethereum had outflows of negative 42 million earlier in the week. That's changed over the last couple of days as well. So even though ETH had outflows, take a look at some cool things that are happening. You've got JP Morgan's launching a tokenized money market fund on Ethereum. So that's big news. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you've seen me talk a lot about BMNR and a lot about BMNR buying up Ethereum. And the reason is because if you look at the number of institutions, such as the JP Morgan, such as PayPal, I mean, PayPal has their own coin. You've got the Walmarts of the world, you've got the Amazons of the world looking to build on the blockchain. You've got Deutsche Bank, you've got Swift that's testing its Swift network on the blockchain. So, and we also just got the big news of that institution, what's it called? The DCTT, I think it's called, which basically is the scorecard for all of Wall Street that has something like $100 trillion where it keeps score of all the stocks on Wall Street and all the bonds and all the money. It's now being linked up with crypto. And so basically what they said is they're going to recognize that all the assets they keep score for, which is the stocks, the bonds, and the marketplace, was now going to be linked in with crypto to where you can tokenize these assets, and they will recognize that and they will do the accounting for it. And that's a big move of now integrating the traditional financial world with the digital financial world. So that's a huge, huge financial move that just took place. I want to make sure I get it right for you in terms of what it's called. I think it's the DCTT. What's that mean again? But it's literally the scorecard for Wall Street. So, yeah, anyway, that news just came out recently. So that's good news. So that's Wall Street saying we trust Ethereum to run real finance in terms of this. So going back to this point with JP Morgan launching a tokenized money market fund, they basically say we trust Ethereum, we trust the blockchain, which is big news. If you look at the week ahead of what we've got, I started talking a little bit about this, but December 19th, which is Friday, you'll have the Bank of Japan interest rate decision. So again, everybody knows this is coming. It's 97% likely that they're going to hike the rates. They've been hiking rates throughout the year. So this is clearly priced in to some degree. We're seeing the volatility. The question is, will the markets go lower? And then tomorrow we'll see CPI and initial jobless claims as well. So we'll see what happens with that. So overall, that's what's going on in the markets. If you're just joining us, Japan will announce on Friday its interest rate hike, which is most likely to happen. And we could see, more selling pressure in the market. Depends what happens, and we'll see how Bitcoin recovers from that, and we'll see how the rest of crypto recovers. So, stay long term. My message is stay bullish, but in the short term, you really got to watch yourself, because these markets are flat, these markets are choppy, and just we're not moving. And if you're a BMNR fan or MSTR fan, I own large positions in MSTR, large positions in BMNR, large positions in Bitcoin. I'm still holding on to my positions because I do believe in these stocks long term. I do believe in Bitcoin long term. I've been in Bitcoin since 2018. So we'll see what happens for the short run. And the best thing to do for what I'm doing right now is zooming out and just looking at the long term. Do I believe in crypto in the long term? The question is absolutely 100% yes. Do I believe in what BMNR and Ethereum are doing? Absolutely. I believe in the blockchain. We know all of Wall Street is going on to Ethereum or Solana sometime in the future, or some part of the blockchain. So in terms of the long-term infrastructure, it's super solid. It's a superior technology. Institutions are going there. Regulations being passed. More and more governments are considering or getting into Bitcoin, and it's a good future ahead. But that doesn't change the fact that the short term is incredibly uncertain, and you just got to be mindful of what you're doing. My position is just to hold and hold and have an outlook with BMNR and MSTR over the next 3, 4, 5 years. With Bitcoin, way long-term outlook as well. And then I trade. I picked up 9% more shares on BMNR today by selling and buying back low. And I'll continue to trade as it drops to pick up more shares. And that's my way of being cause over the marketplace. I don't like sitting here just watching things drop and doing nothing. It's all good to, buy something and hold long term. And I believe in the stocks that I'm holding long term and the crypto that I'm holding. But also, I like to trade and pick up more shares at the bottom. Or, if one wasn't trading, they could also buy at the bottom. Not financial advice, but do the best thing for you. So I hope it's serving you. Hope, the markets work out well for you. I hope you're not, too badly impacted by this. But I know everybody's been impacted in one way or another. So stay strong on it. If you want to grab my book, Money Game, while the markets are tanking and dropping, you might as well check out something new. Here's my book. I wrote it. If you want to understand traditional finance and versus digital finance, it's a great book. It's totally free. You can get it down below, and we'll see you on the next show. Okay. Stay well. Subscribe to the channel. Like the channel. I do a lot on BMNR on this channel. A lot on MSTR. Those are my 2 big investments, and I talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. So hope it serves you, and I'll see you guys next week.